Hello, hello. Welcome back. Okay, I need to know who's here first of all. There are 192 of you. So, can you let me know in the chat who you are, where you're calling in from? Also, did you just see that incredible keynote? My wheels are still spinning and I'm still kind of processing that piece between, the difference between responsible AI and like all of the different ways we sort of like think about responsibility, both in terms of our usage of it and also how we build it. So, okay, I'm loving this. Oh my gosh, Bogota, Colombia. I lived there a million years ago. It feels like I love Colombia so much. Maryland, Illinois, Maryland, Canada. Here we go, the Netherlands. Okay, we are still rocking this international community. I'm so thrilled. Okay, wait, I just saw somebody wrote from Berkeley, California. You are my neighbor. Are you here with me? I'm so excited to get to kick off this next session for all of you. Keep telling me like what are you learning? What are you loving? What are you wondering? I want to hear from you. We are halfway through the day ish and my wheels are spinning. I bet your wheels are spinning. I'm going to tell you what we have in store on this stage right now. We're going to start talking about fundraising 2.0, predicting donor behavior from data to impact with Judah Phillips from Squark. But first, I'm going to give you just a little highlight about Squark. So, Squark AI is the fundraising AI platform purpose built for nonprofits. Their no code system turns raw donor data into crystal clear predictions, empowering every fundraiser to raise more with less effort. Who does not want to hear those words right now? With Squark, you can predict who will give, lapse, or upgrade, then act instantly with next best recommendations that plug into the tools you already use. Nonprofits using Squark see measurable impact, average revenue increases of 20%, acquisition costs cut by 50%, and campaign optimized in days, not months. All great news, especially as we head into end of year giving. And as a thank you, the first 100 people to book a demo will receive a $10 Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts gift card. Better fundraising starts with better predictions. And so you can see Squark AI in action at squark.ai/demo. I'm sure we're going to get a link up on here if we haven't already. I'm really excited. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about our speaker, but before I get into that and tell you more about Judah, I also want you to know that after this session, there is going to be an interactive workshop and demo as well. So predictive fundraising with Squark AI, because you're gonna love connecting with Judah here during the session, but I know that you're gonna want to continue the conversation in the lounge. So you will be able to go to the lounge right after this session and you'll leave with practical knowledge of how to predict who will give, lapse, or upgrade, forecast revenue and campaign ROI before launching, automate recommendations that scale impact without scaling staff, and figure out how to do better fundraising with better predictions. So, all of that will be happening in the interactive workshop and demo table in the lounge right after this. And I'll remind you how to navigate there as soon as we get to the end of this session. Okay. So, are you guys ready to have me introduce Judah? How am I doing back there? Al, are we ready to roll? If I give a little introduction here, okay, I'm hoping so. Not seeing anything in the chat, so I'm gonna keep on keeping on. All right. Okay, I'm going to give you a long introduction to Judah Phillips, who is the Chief AI and Product Officer at Market Holdings and the General Manager and founder of Squark AI. He co founded Squark, an AI platform for fundraising, which was acquired by Market Holdings and has led AI, data, and product organizations across startups and global enterprises, consistently delivering measurable impact. Judah is also the founding partner at Founders Edge, an LP at RevUp, and an angel investor at multiple startups. In Boston, I was born there, by the way, Judas, we can talk about that later. He organizes the Boston Generative AI Meetup, the world's largest in-person Gen AI community with over 5,000 members, and created Boston AI Week, which convenes tens of thousands across startups, enterprises, government, and academia. You know, we love anybody who is bringing community together to help all of us get more knowledgeable and ready to either to embrace AI to improve our fundraising and amplify our impact. While we are waiting for Judah to come on stage with us here, he'll be out here in a moment. I want to make sure I showed you all of my slides. Okay. I'll make sure you're getting that full introduction to him. I want you to tell me in the chat because it was moving so quickly before. If you could predict anything about donor behavior, what would it be? Like what is sort of the outstanding question or curiosity that you have around donor behavior that if you could understand blank, you feel like it would really transform your fundraising and the way that you're able to connect authentically with donors? I want to hear from you. Okay, when will they give? Okay, is it repeatable? Meaning will their giving repeat? Will they give more? Will they keep giving? Okay. Okay, I'm not going to derail us too much here, but I do want to tell y'all, will they keep giving depends on us, right? Like, will they keep giving? If they have a high inclination to give, certainly that makes a difference. But will somebody keep giving depends so much on our behavior as fundraisers. How are we stewarding them? How are we continuing to build connections with them? How are we learning more about them and understanding their deep alignment to our work and our cause? Okay, those are the things. So there is a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy here, y'all. I want to make sure you know that it is not just in the data that we get that information. We also find out who is going to keep giving based on what we do as fundraisers to create our own self-fulfilling prophecy there. Okay. What is their hook? I don't know if people felt like that was a little bit of a gut punch from me, but I just want us to take back some agency here. I know as a fundraiser, I often felt like fundraising was sort of happening to me and I was at the effect of my fundraising. And the thing that I've learned over the last 10 years in particular is how much of donor behavior is predicted by fundraiser behavior, which actually gives us so much ability to invite people to give, to invest in something they care about, to build the community that we all want to build together. So I just want y'all to know that you have more influence than you think you do. Okay, so let me see some of these other things. Will they support this campaign? Will they make a second gift? Okay, that seems to be a real high one here. Which of our efforts messaging made it happen? So really understanding like where their alignment was, what inspired them to give, what makes you stand out. Is there a good time of year or week or season that we can expect donor engagement? I love this. What are their intentions? And is this a partnership or one time? Okay, so again, are they giving to multiple organizations? Who are they giving to? Okay, so much that I am sure Judah is going to be able to tap into all of this better than I ever could. But I love hearing these questions. I'm so excited to bring Judah Phillips up to the screen. Thank you all for giving me that background on where you're at. And Judah, I'm going to let you take it away. Predicting donor behavior from data to impact, fundraising 2.0 with Judah Phillips from Squark. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. It's great to be here. And hello, everybody. I'm Judah Phillips. I'm the Chief AI and Product Officer at Market Holdings, which owns a number of brands in the fundraising industry, some of which are more than 80 years old. And I also am the GM and CEO of the Squark business unit. And today I wanted to talk to you about, fundraising 2.0 and AI and fundraising and how, you can make an impact. But first, I wanted to frame, the opportunity. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, worked in some big tech brands in the early days, and I'm really excited to be working at Squark with the team I'm working with, helping the missions of these nonprofits. It's a great way for an AI company to exit, and also it's a true AI for good stories. So this is a big market. Some people would even say it's 585 billion, and it's growing rapidly with the huge $1 trillion addressable market. And this is AI. Fundraising is even bigger. 83% of companies consider it a top priority. There will be 100 million people who are working with AI this year, and there's a huge potential amount of revenue and donations that can be generated from AI technologies over the next couple of years. But there's a gap, to say the least, that needs to be bridged between the current state and the future state. And so part of the last 6 years of my life starting Squark has been working. Our second customer um, was a nonprofit agency. And so we've been working to kind of ladder up the maturity of nonprofits for, closing on a decade now. Based on the data that I've seen, and I won't read this to you, AI usage patterns are increasing, but still people feel very unprepared. They may not have AI policies. There's a rash of unconstrained chat GPT and other approaches to AI. In many cases, organizations don't have any formal training. They don't have staff that they've hired that are truly educated in it. Not necessarily that big of a deal because there's not as much AI education as I'd like to see, but there are programs and people, doing degrees and certifying themselves in it, as many of you are doing with their CFRE today. A lot of the
Judah,
use is ad hoc, and there is a increasing opportunity to reduce the cost of donor acquisition and increase our donor lifetime value. When we use
Judah,
AI,
I'm so
yes.
sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure you know we can't see your screen.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Well,
wanted
thank
to.
you for letting me know
Yeah,
that
I'm
because
sorry. I just
I did
popped
not know
on
that.
here,
So how
and we
do I
can't see.
I will try to share. I thought,
Okay, and we can't see you either. Your camera might still be off as well. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that.
well, that's
Oh, there
great to
you
know.
go. Okay, all right. Here, I felt so bad interrupting, but I was like, I
No,
want
that's
to go the
okay. It's
whole
good to
time.
know. We need to make sure that we can see the slides. So I will do my best to share the slides again. I thought our friend backstage had that handled for me. But let me
Okay,
go back to share them again and let me know if you can see them now.
here we go. We got it. We're
All
golden.
right, so this is much better. Now you can see the talking head and some blurred art behind me. So, this is what I was talking about. Large market in AI, it's dwarfed by the amount of donations made annually in nonprofits. And there's usage gaps, problems all over the place. When we use AI internally, we see significant increases. Generally in the range of above 20% in revenue increase or donation increases, with a cost to acquire half or more of what it would be. So there's a lot of impact in fundraising that's available right now. And the wonderful thing is that donors are starting to have even more positive attitudes toward, at least in our experience, towards AI. 43% rank it as positive and neutral. There are some people that are concerned about it, often with but fairness and ethics, job replacement, things like that. Others are undecided, but 9% are more likely to give. So, the idea of leveraging AI to build trust, to use it for your segmentation strategy, to use it to help infuse personalized communications into all of your donor life cycle and your journey is super important. What we've noticed is that high generosity correlates with, AI acceptance. Um, Many reasons why, and I'd love to share some of those in the lounge. That being said, the technology of AI is much larger than Chat GPT and LLMs. I've had the fortune of doing this for quite some time when companies weren't ready with their data, before transformers and generative AI existed. And almost sometimes I think the world skipped over predictive AI, but in regulated industries, industries where there's concern about ensuring that protected classes are covered, that models are fair, that results are unbiased. Predictive AI is in use and generates inordinate synergy or revenue in donations for those who use it. Of course, generative AI being new, the immediacy of it for content creation and other types of creativity, whether it's helping to create PowerPoint decks or images, is super powerful. And the combination of them both yields the most reward in our experience. And then there's a whole bunch of emerging tech that's coming out. Voice AI, it's a really hot category right now where there's a lot of investment, where you may have AI calling you or communicating with you on video. This is really me. I thought about recording the video in advance and seeing if I could get away with it. And my friend said, "What if they ask questions?" I said, "I'll join at the end." But these ideas of being able to create experiences that are emergent with either it's image generation or computer vision, um, these are the future. So in order to do that, one needs to consider where the data comes from, where the data is going, and how you use the data. And that's something I've noticed in nonprofits can often use some agency help to be able to take that donor file, normalize it into a schema that can be used for generative and predictive AI, uh, be able to select the right list, score the right list, push those to your donor management systems or production systems, and then be able to take that response data, including the transaction data, and feed it back into a virtuous cycle. So you can do that on a per client basis or across clients. It takes some integration. And that's one of the reasons we created Squark, right? Ultimately, Squark is a predictive and generative tool that allows us to optimize donor relationships. We talk about better fundraising starts with better prediction. AI anyone can use. And I'm happy to dig into Squark in more detail on the lounge, but I wanted to talk more in general than diving into our value props and specifically our technology. But if you're curious about that, join me in the lounge, and I'll be in more of a seller mode versus a teacher mode. So there's a lot of different predictive AI applications out there. When I explain what I do to people who don't know anything about this stuff, what I explain is that we predict who will donate, and that could be net new acquisition as lists shrink and um, donations wane. There's often a great opportunity to be able to use AI to find net new donors to increase the size of your lists. And we're doing some pretty cool stuff at Squark and Market Holdings with net new donor acquisition to improve your lists. Then there's also like you already have a list and maybe you're not mailing everybody or communicating with everybody, and you want to use that for net new acquisition. We've done a lot of work on, pulling out improvements and efficiencies in existing donor files. But the idea is like, who's going to donate? When are they going to donate? What are they going to donate? How much are they going to donate? When are they going to donate? What product you offer? What email do you send? What message do you create? On a one-to-one basis, I can do this for anybody in our data, anybody in your data if you use Squark. And then, you push that to other systems. One of the things we tried really hard to do is ensure that, we model what will happen in the future so you can understand churn, who's going to react, who's going to lapse, who's going to reactivate, what would their value be over 6, 12, 24, 36 months to be able to pinpoint intelligent ask amounts. And what we see is just huge improvements. And that's why Squark was acquired, because it's just inordinately proved itself over nearly a decade. So generative AI, on the other hand, we started using this years ago when BERT came out, like Google's transformer architecture. And so we use it in a clever way. So when you upload your data, we're able to use transformers not to generate, to generate text, of course, but also in ways that you wouldn't expect. So we use transformers for natural language processing in order to create new predictors and regressions, classifications, in order to surface the words and phrases in meetings in your language that are important to your outcome. So I can literally tell you, when we talk about fairness and bias, what we can do with generative AI or transformers is tell you what words in your communications, what themes in your communications are driving donor sentiment, donations, reactivation, positively or negatively. Using the same math that's used to in regulated finance and life sciences, but we just turned it on its head for nonprofits for explainability. But there's also the generative AI capabilities once we've scored all the lists to be able to create personalized plans and personalized communications on a one-to-one basis with the data in Squark or in your systems. The idea here is cold hard numbers are cold hard numbers, but if you can use AI to create that human connection, then you can really improve performance and the benefit for society of these missions. In the future, you're going to see a lot more of this stuff. I know it sounds out there, and I won't talk too much about it, but this stuff advances rapidly. And even in the last few months, I've been able to do stuff in the nonprofit world on data that even 2 years ago would have been much more difficult. And I've been able to do it very cost effectively and at a very fast rate compared to the way it used to be. So I would focus on predictive if you're not doing predictive, and generative is great, but you may be missing a lot if you're not scoring your lists intelligently. And what I've noticed, and just to be clear, as you start to think of your strategic implementation, we don't use anybody's data but your data. So there's no sharing of data. We don't do any spooky stuff. We're not combining data and sharing it across. Of course, if you wanted to do something like that, there's capabilities to do that. But ultimately, Squark works on the data you already have. And it's a single tenant environment for the technologists that complies with all the privacy frameworks globally. So ready to rock with absolutely no excuses. But what you have to do to figure out how to use it is get ready, right? And it's pretty straightforward. It's a matter of figuring out what business questions you want to answer. And that may be like, who's going to donate next? What should I offer them? When should I send it? Right? So this type of assessment and planning is super useful. And then you want to start with a pilot implementation. I say start small, get a license, start doing stuff. One of the great things about working for a philanthropic organization, and we've birthed this in the enterprise trenches and brought it to life for nonprofits in a very cost-effective way, such that it's easy to get leadership buy-in when there's a very clear, demonstrable ROI that's been proven with the largest nonprofits globally for the last nearly a decade. We do training. That's part of our onboarding. It's a super important part. Garbage in, garbage out, but Squark has wonderful ways to automatically detail and prepare, clean, and feature engineer and select your data. So we've kind of figured that out. Measurement, a lot of explainability, a lot of ways to understand the model's performance, both historically and when generalized. And then this stuff is adaptable. Squark's kind of like a calculator. And while I could use it to predict churn in gaming or in revenue in SaaS, it's much more satisfying to adapt it to apply to the nonprofit world. And it's wonderful to wake up feeling good about what you do every day. So ethical AI is super important to that. I've kind of hinted to that. Many nonprofits are concerned about that. One of the big things we learned from the wonderful research that Fundraising AI and Virtuous put out is that there's concern about bias and fairness. Controversially at Bridge, I remember having a discussion where I said, hey, data isn't biased, right? There can be bias in data. Algorithms aren't biased. There's bias in data, and you can pre-process, post-process the data. Use various techniques and algorithms to accommodate for bias. And so this is something that is oftentimes a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt. And I think if you talk with folks who've been in AI for years, they can speak to what's true and what's maybe outrageous. And so I encourage in the lounge, if anyone has any questions around bias or ethics or fair models or machine learning explainability, interpretability, I'm happy to sort of move from some soft concepts to how it works in regulated industries where lives in life sciences and in banking where there's protected classes handle ethics and bias. Same things we do at Squark. Work with the team often on policy development and having ethics and training, even with the legal teams. So you want to communicate this to your donors. All of our clients and donors know they're using Squark and they know what it can do and what it can't do. And we have very clear privacy policies. Again, this stuff improves performance so you can do more for the missions of your nonprofits. We see huge gains. We see savings. When I talk to the board or my boss, the CEO, we talk about lowering the cost of donor acquisition and increasing donor lifetime value in order to fulfill our clients and our nonprofits missions. And like that's what it's really all about. And over time, like, new math comes in, whether it's RFM or advanced segmentation that's like 10 years old. You can do this stuff at a very cost effective rate in the nonprofit industry today. And I'm just give you some use cases as we kind of tie this up. I don't have a lot of time. Predictive donor segmentation. So let's identify high value donors. Let's get to them in a more cost effective way. Let's have a better return on our advertising or marketing spend. What we start to see is individual scores on donors that give us a way to understand the targets that we're trying to model. It could be reducing how many cards we send for like gift cards, right? Or greeting cards, while increasing response rates and net returns, spending less. Many of you may send coins, currency package renewals, increased response, decreased number of coins and dollar bills to send, right? Less mail. All this goes down and helps the nonprofits retain their donations. Do a lot with, obviously it's Squark, with ensuring that we can personalize and help to create content based on the scores that can then feed the communications. And you can see when we do that, there is like an increase in volume that shifted from high cost to low cost, and increased in returns on our targeted groups with faster results, both from an efficiency perspective internally, like cycle time, reduced cost, and from an increased response and deliverability, or sending less, getting more. This one got a little messed up, but one of the themes is automated interactions and real-time analytics. It's possible, right, to take signals timely or near real time or even in real time with various formats and ensure that you're communicating, especially when there's events or crises or things that happen. It's important to be able to respond to those, and Squark allows that. So in this case, looking at automation to lower the cost of acquisition or increase donor lifetime value. And you can just see these are real results on anonymous cases for some of the largest nonprofits with the biggest list files in the world. So this also works on the smallest data. Big thing I'm into is donor retention and, journey automation. So this is the idea that you can use the scores across the life cycle for acquisition, for awareness, for conversion, for retention, for loyalty, and for programs thereafter. So in this sense, you can use Squark to select how people move through your donor journeys. An example of this is like sustainer sign-up models. This is a 200% jump in conversion. I know it's small percentages, but think about how that cascades through. And then additionally, looking in terms of lapsed donor activation, when you start to model across journeys and the steps in them, you can certainly reduce that cost to reactivate. Talked a bit about ethics. I'll emphasize it again because it's one of the key themes in this year's research. One of the things that we do, excuse me, my slide seems to be stopping here. But one of the things we do is make sure that we provide interpretable and understandable results that you can use to improve your nonprofit performance. And I'm getting some notice we're about done, so I'm going to stop there. And my name is Judah Phillips, and I'm the Chief AI and Product Officer at Market Holdings and Squark. And I'm looking forward to talking to y'all in the lounge. So thank you for spending the time today, and I'll be glad to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Judah. You flew so much valuable information in there. And I want to make sure that folks know that this is not the end. If they want to go to the lounge, they should go over to the reception area and then you can find the lounge. I don't know if my screen is able to be shared. It looks like it's presenting, but maybe not showing up. Okay, great. I just want to make sure
I
people
don't have
know
that
that.
problem.
Well, we're just having a screen share challenge today, but it's all going to be okay. So if you want to take this even further and talk to Judah about this and get a more in-depth demo, make sure you go and join him in the lounge. Just go to that reception area, navigate over to the lounge, and select the table with the name on it. And we also dropped into the chat. This is the name of the interactive workshop and demo. We also dropped into the chat your feedback form. We'd love your feedback. We'd love to share your feedback. And then I want to just tell you all what is coming up next. So on the Amplify stage, we have AI and the environment, what nonprofits need to know, hosted by Kaz McGrath. And it's an incredible lineup of folks. Here on the innovation stage, we are doing No Playbook, No Problem, building a mission-aligned AI policy and implementation plan from the ground up, with the folks over at United Way of Central Indiana. And on the impact stage, we are doing retention is a love language, using AI to communicate with more care, not just more often. And I'm so excited for that group that John McCoy over from We Are for Good is facilitating. So a lot of good stuff happening at the same time. We know. How do you pick? But don't worry, you're getting the recording, so you don't even have to stress about that. And just so you know, last thing, Spark stage is open. Those are still going. Here's what's coming up next on that stage. If you are going to be with me on the innovation stage, No Playbook, No Problem, I will see you in 1 second. Head up to that schedule button, click it, find the session that you want to attend, and I will see you there very shortly. Thank you so very much.